Howdy folks, got a bit of pseudoscience today. If you've been making cocktails for any amount of time, you're probably familiar with the notion of Aquafaba. Aquafaba is the juice that comes out of the can of garbanzo beans, or sometimes called chickpeas, and it can be used as an egg white substitute. Apparently this works really well. I've actually never tried it because I am perfectly fine with egg whites. Some people, though, are vegans. Some people don't like the taste of an egg white. It could have a certain flavor to it. I got a third thing, which is dried aquafaba powder that you can reconstitute and use like you would aquafaba. We're gonna try all those out, see what makes the best foam. Let's go. All right, so you might be asking yourself, why am I talking about this at all? Well, somebody reached out to me on Instagram from this company that makes the dried aquafaba powder, offered to send me a sample. And since I like free stuff, I said yes, even though I'm not super interested in aquafaba. I decided for your benefit, I would do this little test. Now the aquafaba comes in this little bag, which is apparently 75 eggs worth, which I think is for baking. I think it's more egg than that in the terms of egg whites. I went to this company's website, I'll put a link down below, but they also sell the same product, but as a cocktail ingredient, so marketed as a cocktail foaming agent. For some reason, they sent me the baking version. Now, apparently all you need to do is get a tablespoon of this powder, mix it with a cup of water. And the recipes on their website called for an ounce of the reconstituted aquafaba, so that's what I'm gonna put into our drinks today. Now we're gonna make standard pisco sours to test this out. If you're not familiar with the pisco sour, I did a whole thing about it. You can go check that out. We're gonna make 3 of these. We're gonna make an egg white version. We'll make the canned aquafaba version, and then we'll make the powdered reconstituted aquafaba version as well. I'm gonna go ahead and do a dry shake on all of these just to keep it consistent, and then shake with ice. Let's check it out. All right, we did it. We shook up these 3 pisco sours. Now, I'm gonna start with the egg white one. That's the one I'm gonna be most familiar with. Nice thick foam, tight bubbles. The Angostura art on top is, staying pretty tight. Delicious drink, creamy mouthfeel. It's got that sort of rich, lush texture that you expect from an egg white. That's all as expected. Now, let's move on to the aquafaba out of the can. This foam is pretty good too. I might have used a little too much. I wasn't sure how much aquafaba bean juice to use because I had never done it before. I figured I would do about an ounce because that would be similar to the powdered stuff. It might have been a little bit more than you need, but this has got a pretty thick head as well, and the Ango art on this is staying together, and it's a pretty tight foam. I feel like the aquafaba bean juice in the can it has a certain flavor to it. I feel like that I'm not as familiar with. Egg whites have a flavor too, but I'm accustomed to that. There might have been salt in the garbanzo beans, so it's got a little bit interesting to me. Pretty good. I think if you were doing this, if you were developing a recipe with the garbanzo bean juice, you would take into account the flavor of that stuff and allow for it. But the foam is really nice. I like it. Now onto our powdered reconstituted aquafaba powder. Let's check it out. Here's what I'll say. The foam is not nearly as thick and the bubbles are much bigger. This does not have the same structure as the other two, and it doesn't really hold on to the art that well. You can still see it, but it isn't quite the same resolution, if you know what I mean. Let's give it a taste. It's been not very long, a minute or so, since I made this drink, and the foam is already starting to dissipate. It does not have the same sort of structure as the egg white or the Aquafaba out of the can, so I don't know. I'm not convinced by this stuff, but I mean, maybe you could make it in a higher concentration. I followed the instructions on the bag and on their website, which is to do a tablespoon to a cup of water, which is 15 milliliters, I guess, to 250 milliliters. Maybe if you did it at a higher concentration, it would work better, but this is what they recommend, and it's okay, but it's not awesome. Now, in conclusion, I think I'll stick with egg whites. I mean, I'm not a vegan. I have no reason to switch to Aquafaba unless some vegans come over, and I don't really know any vegans. But if you were a vegan who wanted to drink cocktails, you didn't want to put egg whites in, but you wanted some foam, and you didn't want to have a lot of garbanzo beans around, you could buy this powdered Aquafaba powder and give it a try. There's plenty comes in one bag, so you would have plenty of it to mess around with to find the right proportion that might make a good foam. But I think I'll just stick with egg whites. All right, hopefully that was fun and or informative. Have you ever used Aquafaba? What were your experiences? Put them down in the comments. Also, if you have anything, any suggestions for me, something you want me to try, put those down there as well. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.